All right, what's going on, guys? Simple Sports back again. Another episode for you. Watching the Titans get smoked by the Pats in the playoffs. So, this is fourth quarter is just about to start. Um, First of all, I have to say, and I'm pretty sure this game is over with. This game has been over with. You know, it's hard to make these videos because I want to be a fan, but at the same time, I'm trying to be objective. The Titans just simply got outplayed today. They got outplayed. They got outcoached. It was that simple. They came out and they looked great on that first touchdown drive, 95 yards, 15 plays, balanced attack, and from that point forward, it was just all New England. Couple of very, very sketchy calls that really just changed the momentum of the game. 14-7, they got the Pats pinned down on the 5-yard line. They get a false start called overturned somehow into an offsides or an encroachment, which led to a first down, kept the drive going, and from that point forward, it was downhill. They had a huge third down conversion pulled back on a pass interference that was questionable at best. But nonetheless, they didn't get it done when they needed to get it done. Even if you take those things into account, they still went into the second half down 2 scores with the ball. And if they go down and get a touchdown, you're right back in this game. No one's having this discussion potentially. They simply didn't show up to play. Well, I won't say they didn't show up to play. You could tell the effort was there, especially in the first half. The Pats are just a well-oiled machine, and they are just flat better than the Titans. It's just that simple. They barely touched Brady at all. Mariota got killed. I think he got sacked 5 times so far. I don't think Brady's been sacked once. I think he got knocked down a couple of times. Just all in all, I don't want to say a bad game, but a bad game. Like, it's not so much that they played so terrible. It's just, they're just not as good of a team. The penalties killed them for sure. Whether you want to say it's the refs' fault or the Titans' fault, doesn't matter. The penalties absolutely killed them. And they just got another penalty, illegal hands to the face. Listen, I'm a Titans fan. I love them. I wish they had. Only thing I really wanted, honestly, and I picked the Pats to win the Super Bowl this year. I didn't pick them, or I picked them to win this game. It is what it is. From an analytical standpoint, the fan in me obviously is crushed. Obviously as a fan, I want them to win every game, but that's not the way it works. But the only thing I did want, if nothing else, I just wanted it to be a competitive game. I wanted the narrative about Tennessee to change. That was my overall, objective or dream. I wanted the narrative about them to change. I wanted them to put up a fight, and if they didn't win the game, at least make it, send a message to the league. Like, we aren't just some pushovers that happen to squeak into the playoffs. We're a good team. We may have had our ups and downs throughout the year, but we made it to the playoffs, and rightfully so, and proved that by putting up a fight against New England. I thought they did by beating Kansas City in Kansas City, but no one seems to want to give them respect for that. It is what it is. I just wanted them to be competitive against the Pats, and like I said, for a large portion of the first half, they were. It's just the game got out of hand really quickly. Pats went down and scored 2 times in about 4 minutes. Terrible field position. The offense is what the problem is, I think, for this team. The defense can't be on the field that much, and they can't. You can't give the Pats the ball from the 50-yard line and in. They gave them the ball, I think, twice in the first half in Tennessee's territory. You just can't do that against any team, much less this team. This team, you can't make mistakes, period. And to give them the ball that many times in your own, in scoring position, I mean, a first down puts them in field goal range. And from that point forward, it was a non-contest. I mean, they don't even have 200 yards of total offense. The Pats are carving up the defense, pretty much doing whatever they want. I don't know. As I said, I think that I'm not one to call for coaches because I've never been a coach, so I can't. I don't feel it's my duty to make that call. But the offense looks flat, completely flat. 2 and 3 man routes with a quarterback that they don't seem to utilize his abilities as far as running the football. And I know he's been a little banged up this year, but they don't move him around at all. They run a lot of 2-man routes off play action, and it's just a very, very flat offense. No explosion whatsoever. They do get some long drives occasionally when they're able to run the football and get some play action going, but and Gronk is just eating Byard alive at this point, which kind of had to be expected, I guess, after what he said. And I loved what he said, but you got to go out and back it up. And right now, after all of this, he's just picking them apart. It's embarrassing, really. 28-7, and they're already they're about on the 25-yard line, getting ready to score again. Just moving the ball at will, and the Titans can't move the ball one lick. It's just a complete mismatch across the board, and I just wanted it to be better. I just wanted it to be more competitive, and like I said, if nothing else, even if they didn't win, I just wanted them to change the narrative about the Titans so that, as a fan, we could finally get some respect. But it is what it is. We're going to go in the next season and, largely probably end up in the same position where a lot of people are probably going to pick them to win, and, they're going to have to step up to the plate. This year they made it into the playoffs. They won a game on the road. I'm pumped about it. I'm super happy. I'm just really disappointed that they didn't quite put up the fight that I thought that they would. And what's most disappointing is people love to look at the numbers and the stats and all of those things. If you just watch the game, like they were in this game, they drove down the field on the road, 95 yards, 15 plays, repeat that formula, get a couple of stops on New England, and everything is great. Mariota didn't play bad. First of all, he got sacked 5 or 6 times, and we're not even through the game yet. So far he's 13 of 20 for 150 yards. Again, not a terrible game, but just not a lot of time to throw the ball. The offense is flat. They can't run the ball, so the play action is not effective at all. It's just, and oh my God, it's just embarrassing. Tom Brady just literally threw it across the field from the other hash while on the run. Oh man, it's rough to watch. It really is. But what are you gonna do? The Pats, you got to take your hats off to the Pats for sure. Tom Brady, 40 years old, just out there toying with the Titans. No one gave him a shot, and I guess this is why. Obviously, the fan in me wanted to believe that they could potentially win this game. In my head, I didn't think they could. They're proving that now. A lot of changes need to happen, specifically for me offensively. I think they found Derrick Henry to be the future. Granted, he didn't have a particularly good game tonight, but they couldn't run the ball pretty much the entire game. And once they got down 2 scores against the Pats on the road, they kind of had to abandon the run. So I don't know how that's going to play out next year. Corey Davis showed up, made his first touchdown of the year, and has been a non-factor since. I don't think Rashard Matthews has a catch, maybe 1 or 2. Delaney Walker has 1 or 2 catches. Eric Decker has 1 or 2. And outside of that, it's pretty standard stuff for the Titans. Big game and kind of laid an egg. Pretty much. Can't really say much else besides that. They pretty much laid an egg tonight. Again, a lot of things definitely could have gone their way that didn't. A couple of calls definitely swung the momentum of the game. That false start or the offsides on the punt definitely was a huge momentum swinger because it kept the drive alive. The 4th down call right before half, I don't know what that was. Malarkey definitely looked a little flustered. Just looking at his body language on the sidelines, for sure looked flustered. Called 2 questionable timeouts in the first half. The second one that he called was okay, I guess. The third one that he called right before running it on 4th and 1, that one made no sense to me. I don't know what that was. 28-7 on the 5-yard lines. This is an ugly game, and it's hard to watch as a fan. But what are you gonna do? I'm proud of the team, though. I mean, I enjoy watching them this year. Had their ups and downs. I was critical of them at times. I praised them at times. I think at the end of the day, they're just not as good as the Pats. I think they're a good team. I think they're on a tier below with everyone else, sort of like Kansas City, sort of like maybe like a Cincinnati or Baltimore, at least Baltimore as of late, where they're just no one's as good as the Pats. I don't think the Steelers are as good as the Pats, even though a lot of people think they're going to beat the Steelers are going to beat them. I don't think the Steelers are as good as the Pats. I definitely don't think the Jags are as good as the Pats. I don't think they're as good as the Steelers or the Titans, honestly. The Titans beat them twice pretty handily this year, so I don't buy the Jags going into Pittsburgh to beat them either. But man, this was a total mismatch. Coaching, players, quarterback, all of it. And there's the TD for Bayard or for Gronk, and I'm sure he's going to hear about that one all week. Woo, man, 34-7. Colin Cowherd called it. He said 34-13, so he was pretty right on the money. This was a pretty piss poor performance. Not even close. Just a total mismatch. The team is really young. A lot of rookies and second and third year players, so they got some time. They got some youth. They got some pieces to work with. But definitely not a good performance, to say the least. But as I said, I'm happy as a fan. I just wish it were competitive. I think that's the only thing that I would have wanted. Again, even if they had lost, if this game had ended, say, 35-30 or 31 or something like that, or whatever the score might be, something competitive, 28-24, 28-21, whatever, I'd be a lot more comfortable with it. But it didn't satisfy me. It kind of made me feel like some of the analysts and pundits were right. They didn't really deserve to be in the playoffs. I think otherwise. But it definitely makes you wonder about Mike Mularkey. I don't worry about Mariota. I think Mariota is just not in a good offense. I think he's not being used correctly. I think he's in an offense that's really, really flat, not spread out, and that's what he does. Like, you have to do what's good for, you have to do what your players do well. And he's not Peyton Manning. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Drew Brees. He needs some help as far as moving the pocket, moving him around, running the football, letting him use his athleticism as well as, because he's an accurate thrower. If you watch him throw the football, just he puts it where it needs to be. But a lot of the play calling and play selection and personnel just doesn't fit what he does well to me. So I think that needs to be addressed. I think they need to find a pass catching running back, someone that they can put out on the field, out of the backfield, that is a threat to catch the ball. Henry and Murray both can catch it, but they're not elusive, really. They can run the flat route, maybe even a slant route. Obviously, they can do the little arrow sitting in the middle of the field, but they're not like James. You can't split them out wide or have them run, or a comeback or an out or something like that, like some of these other guys can. They're okay in the screen game, but it needs to be blocked well. Now, they have great top-end speed, but they're not shifty at all. I think they need a nice shifty running back in the backfield with Mariota, in addition to Derrick Henry. I don't know. Offense is just flat, man. The defense, I don't think the defense necessarily played that terrible. They definitely gave up some really, really long drives, but a couple of the shorter drives, I mean, there's really not a whole lot. You can't give Brady the ball in your own territory. You just can't do that. That's a no-no. If you're going to give him the ball back, if you got to punt it or something like that, you need to make sure he's pinned down deep in his own territory, 25 and in. The Titans started their first 2 or 3 drives from like the 11 and then like the 8-yard line, and that's something that you can't have happen. The Titans, this was a total mismatch. If you go back and look at the numbers, this would be one of the most lopsided victories ever. They just show the Titans had 39 plays, and the Pats have 30 first downs. Think about that. That is incredible. That is incredible. Yeah, as I said, I'm a fan. I'm objective, though. The Titans just flat out got outplayed. It's that simple. Outcoached and outplayed. Total mismatch. It is what it is. I hope they come back stronger next year and make some adjustments. I don't know if Mike Mularkey is going to get another year. I know a lot of people still want him gone. They definitely want Trubisky gone. Again, I'm not in the camp of calling for people's jobs like that. That's not my territory. But I do know that this offense needs some sort of life injected into it. I don't know if it's draft, something that they can find in the draft, maybe free agency, maybe trade. Corey Davis has been largely a disappointment, at least stats-wise. I know he was hurt for a part of the year. But for a number 5 pick, I would like to see more. He made a great play to start the game, and that was it. But this game wasn't even close. Not even close. Much respect for them going into Kansas City and winning that game. Huge for Mariota, but this reminds me of, actually? It reminds me of Tebow. I'm not saying Mariota's Tebow at all. He's definitely not. I think he's better than Tebow, but, I think he's obviously better than Tebow. But this was Tebow-esque in that he goes on the road. Well, I don't know if Tebow went on the road. Was that Steeler game in Denver? I don't remember. But nonetheless, beats a good team in the opening round and then just gets annihilated by the Pats. Same sort of deal here. Mularkey, I don't know if he's going to be there next year. I don't know if Trubisky's going to be there. I don't know if Decker's going to be there. Matthews, Walker, a lot of these guys, I don't know. But the offense is definitely stagnant, and I've said that all year. Like, the offense is not explosive whatsoever. It's pretty flat. They make a couple of plays every now and then. Every game they make 2 or 3 plays. But for the most part, they're pretty flat. And if they can't run the ball, which they haven't been able to this game, and now they obviously can't, being down 28 points. But yeah, it's just completely flat, completely embarrassing. 35-7. It sucks. It really does. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm gonna wrap it up there. Watch the rest of the game, I suppose. I'm not gonna turn it off. This is probably the last time I'm gonna see them in the playoffs for a while. Being a Titans fan, that's just kind of their thing. Who knows when they'll be back? I'm hoping that they improve next year. Jesus, 168 first half yards, 17 in the second half. Just not good. Mariota goes down again. Man, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. Peace.